There's something that I hear very often from clients, which is I feel like I shouldn't be complaining because I have so much to be grateful for. And what I'm hearing there is not the problem that they're describing so much as the pattern of interrupting themselves before fully allowing themselves to feel and express their emotions. Welcome to How to Trust Yourself, the podcast for anyone who's done with the endless second guessing and ready to tune in to your inner guidance. I'm Anna Holtzman, and I get that feeling of trudging through life like you're wading through mud, trying to figure out which way to go. In my 20s, I spent more time asking what should I do with my life than writing about crushes or bad dates in my journal. I've tried on a lot of answers: architecture, publishing, editing reality TV for a decade, and finally landing on therapy and coaching, helping people like you connect with your purpose. But here's the thing I've learned through all those twists and turns. Trusting yourself is the key to moving forward, even when the path feels messy. So if you're ready to stop doubting yourself and start listening to your gut, you're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome back, dear listeners. So good to be back here with you. Today, I want to talk about a question that I think many of us ask ourselves without even realizing it. And that question is, does my suffering count? And what I'm going to attempt to do today is not to answer that question, but rather to explain why I actually think that that is the wrong question for us to be asking ourselves. There's something that I hear very often from my therapy and coaching clients, which is something along the lines of, I feel like I shouldn't be complaining because I have so much to be grateful for. And when I hear clients say something like that, what I hear is not so much about the story that they're telling, because what I'm paying attention to is what is happening in their nervous system. And what I'm hearing there is not the problem that they're describing so much as the pattern of interrupting themselves before fully allowing themselves to feel and express their emotions. And when we stop ourselves from fully feeling and expressing our emotions, what happens is that we deprive ourselves of the opportunity to empathize with our emotions and also to receive empathy from another person who is hearing us express our emotions. So when I hear a client say something like, I feel like I shouldn't be complaining because I have so much to be grateful for, what I'm hearing them doing is they're editing their own emotional experience. They're censoring themselves. And it's almost as if, they had started expressing something. And if you can just imagine visually, imagine this person's body as a lava lamp. And, there's that like blob of gooey, colorful substance that's moving around in the lava lamp. That's a mass of emotional energy. So that emotional energy is beginning to rise up in their body on its way to expression and release. But instead of allowing that process to take its course, when we say something to ourselves, like, oh, I shouldn't complain because I have so much to be grateful for, it's like we swallow back down that emotional energy. We prevent it from moving through us and releasing back out into the world. And instead, we bottle it up back inside of ourselves. And where this can get a little confusing is that you might be saying to yourself right now, wait a minute, I thought gratitude was a good thing. Are you saying that I shouldn't be grateful? And no, that's not at all what I'm saying. What I'm talking about is that there's a difference between gratitude and emotional invalidation. When we're saying something like, oh, I'm really struggling with this, but I shouldn't complain because I have so much to be grateful for. That, in my opinion, is not really about gratitude. That is us using the concept of gratitude in order to invalidate our emotions, in order to interrupt or censor an emotional expression. Because our emotions and our gratitude can both exist. I can feel hurt, angry, disappointed, etc., while also simultaneously being very grateful for all the things in my life that I have to be grateful for. Those two things don't cancel each other out. And I have a theory. I'm curious what you think about this, and you can share your thoughts with me. I always love to hear them. I think that when we tell ourselves that we're complaining and we're being ungrateful by expressing our feelings, there's fear there. There's fear around whether our feelings are going to be invalidated if we express them. There's fear about whether or not we are really safe to express our feelings. Do we have permission to express our feelings? And quite possibly, we have had past experiences when we were told that it wasn't okay to express our feelings. Or maybe we were even told that we were complaining as a way of dismissing our feelings. We have experiences where we were made to feel as though our emotions were not welcome in the conversation. At the same time, we may also have had experiences where we were rewarded for being stoic, for keeping it all together, for being the capable one who didn't need any empathy or support, or who appeared not to need any empathy or support. We may have been rewarded for being the caretaker who was there to listen to everyone else's emotions and take care of everyone else's emotional well-being. Or we may have been told that there's no way we could have any problems because we were the fortunate one, or the lucky one, the privileged one, the resilient one, the successful one. And nobody had the bandwidth or capacity to be present for our emotional pain. All of these different experiences teach us that it's not okay to express our emotions, that if we do express our emotions, they will not be met with empathy. And so we learn to censor ourselves, to tamp our emotions down, to interrupt our innate emotional expression by saying to ourselves and even to others something like, oh, I'm just complaining. I have so much to be grateful for. I shouldn't express X, Y, or Z. And there are downstream consequences of this habit of self-censoring, particularly when it is something that is a habit, like I was just saying, is something that we perpetually do. So we're never giving ourselves the chance to allow these emotions to move through and out of our bodies. What happens when we chronically interrupt ourselves is that this emotional energy gets stuck inside the body. And as you know, if you've been listening to this podcast for a long time, when emotions get stuck inside of the body, it's like boiling water stuck inside a pot, and eventually it's going to have to vent itself somehow, and it will express itself through a variety of unpleasant expressions, which can include physical pain and symptoms, emotional pain and symptoms, psychological pain and symptoms. And because I see this phenomenon so often in my clients, and let's be real, I can relate to it myself, I have been thinking about what to call this phenomenon. The phrase that comes to my mind is disenfranchised suffering, which means a type of suffering that is not allowed to be expressed, does not feel acceptable to be expressed. It becomes invisible. And when it is invisible, there's no way to interact with this suffering in a healing way. There's no way to meet these suppressed emotions with the love and care and acknowledgement that they need in order to be released in a healthy way so that we can free our body from this pent-up emotional energy. So what I hope I've invited you into is to shift the goal away from figuring out whether or not your suffering counts, and to choose a new goal instead of how do I actually heal? And what does self-compassion really mean? It doesn't mean convincing yourself that life is terrible. It doesn't mean proving that you are suffering enough to deserve care. It simply means allowing your emotional experience to exist, to be acknowledged, and to be met with warmth and caring. I'm going to offer you 2 questions to ask yourself instead of, and as a replacement for, the question of, does my suffering count? The first of those questions is, what am I feeling right now? What emotion am I feeling right now? And the next question is, what would it be like if I didn't have to prove that I deserved compassion before offering that compassion to myself? Because healing doesn't begin when you finally prove that your suffering counts. Healing begins when you stop requiring proof in order to meet your own emotions with compassion. Dear listener, please tell me how this episode landed for you today. I would love to hear from you. You can email me, anna@annaholtzman.com. And until we meet again, I am sending so much care and gentleness your way. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do me a favor. Hit that follow button so you don't miss a thing, and leave a rating or review. It helps more people find this show, and honestly, it makes my day. And if you're looking for more ways to trust yourself and start listening to that gut instinct of yours, come hang out with me on Instagram at Anna_Holtzman. Let's keep the conversation going. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time, trust yourself. You've got this.